For the yogis who came here to practice the method of Satipatthana for this 60-day retreat, Sayadaw has been very satisfied to fill up the gaps as needed according to the teaching of the Buddha, as explained by the late Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw. Sayadaw has been happy to supply what is needed to help the yogis to fill up the gaps and to especially to correct where people were going in the wrong way. So from the 1st of December until today, the 29th of January, this course has been going on. Tomorrow will be the 60th day. And so tomorrow there will be a victory ceremony. And this course, during this time, the main thing that Sayadaw has been speaking about are these three kinds of Santi, or could be translated as peace. The Sammuti Santi, Tadanga Santi, and Accanta Santi. So Santi means calm or peace, to become, for things to die down, die out, dissolve. Sammuti Santi is just conventional peace. It has nothing to do with people who are concerned with cause-effect relationships. For people who understand it about cause and result, this Sammuti Santi, conventional peace, is not our concern. What is our concern are Tadanga Santi and Accanta Santi. And of these two, what is important is Tadanga Santi. That means working to still, to calm the detrimental elements, such as the nivaranas, the obstacles to kusala and concentration, with these various good qualities, good capabilities. And if the yogis in their practice develop Tadanga Santi, this momentary peace, stage by stage, when that process is complete, Accanta Santi will automatically appear. It's similar to working out a math problem. So one has to know the method for solving this type of problem. And when one knows the method, it's simply a matter of working out the problem according to the method. There's no need to make the answer come out. There's no need to be concerned about the answer, because one reaches the correct answer by working the method correctly. So one has to learn, one has to understand what method is used for calculating the problem. So one learns this from the teacher. And then it's simply a matter of continuing to go step by step through each part of the calculation until the process is complete. So when the problem is completely worked out, the solution will appear. The answer appears automatically. It's simply a matter of continuing to work out the problem methodically and correctly. And with practice, it is the same way. There's no need to worry about getting the answer. What one has to do is simply continue to work out the problem. So for the yogis who have come here to practice, using the method of Satipatthana with observation, gaining peace in each moment, gaining the various stages of momentary peace, or Tadanga Santi, is like working out the problem. So as this course is coming to an end, Sayadaw must say a bit about the answer. And he also spoke during this course about the 5 factors of a yogi who is striving to reach liberation in this very life. And of these, the last factor, the wisdom, the seeing, the factor of vision, seeing the fast arising and passing away, is the last factor to be discussed, and Sayadaw will discuss this today. And in this way, this 60-day course will come to an end. For a human being, if our behavior is free of fault, blameless, and pure, if we behave like a human, if we have a human mentality, human outlook, and if we have human knowledge, then this is high level. But not knowing the method for doing this, the correct method for doing this, one may go the wrong way. One may not be able to go in the right way. And thus, there are many people in the world who do not behave like humans. They do not have a human outlook, human mind. They don't develop human knowledge. With the method taught by the Buddha, the yogis are able to develop. They learn what it is to be a human, how to keep a human mentality, how to develop knowledge. The method of the Buddha is what can bring about this high level of living. So Sayadaw invites the yogis to come and see. So the basic method is to, at the moment the object arises, make effort, aim, and look. So as soon as the object arises, it can be the rising. As soon as the rising arises, make effort, aim, and look. As soon as the falling arises, make effort, aim, and look. So this can apply to any object: falling, bending, stretching, lifting, moving, placing, standing, turning. At the moment the object arises, make effort, aim, and look, so that the mind stays with the object. So this method that we are learning is the method of developing Vipassana jhana. As soon as the object arises, aim, make effort, so that the mind sticks with the object. And if we do, then what will be the result? The result will be that the mind is clean. The mind becomes clean of mental defilements. They're distanced. So as soon as the rising arises, for example, one applies ardent effort. This is the method of satipatthana. And one also needs the jhanic factor of accurate aim. So this power is needed too. Both satipatthana and jhana must be present. And the result is that the defilements, the mental dirt, is purified and distanced. So with virya, or ardent effort, laziness and the other kilesas are not given a chance to arise. And if this is true at the start, it's even more so at as one continues in the practice. And with accurate aim, the mind doesn't slip off the object. So therefore the nivaranas, the obstacles to concentration, cannot arise. So these two factors, in particular, they overcome laziness. That's the basic thing. So if one considers what the mind is like when virya, ardent effort, and vitakka, aiming, is present each time, then greed will not enter the mind. There's no way it can enter greed or lobha. And there's no way that anger or dosa can enter the mind. So therefore the defilements, the mental dirt is purified. And this is truly good. So this is the quality, the virtue that is gained by the yogis. If every second these two factors are occurring in the mind, then with that virya, that good quality of virya, those detrimental qualities such as the nivaranas, the obstacles to kusala, wholesomeness, are being calmed. And this is Tadanga Santi, momentary peace. To the extent that observation is occurring, to the extent that we are noting, then Tadanga Santi, this momentary peace, will occur. And therefore the mind is clean and pure. The defilements are purified and distanced, which is good. Following that, sati becomes good. And khanika samadhi, momentary concentration, also becomes good. The mind falls collectedly on the object. And at that time, just nama rupa, cause effect, to know these is correct. So one comes to see that there is just nama and rupa, mind and matter, just these two. And one also comes to see that these are related as cause and effect. This is the knowledge that arises in the mind of the yogis through their observation. And it doesn't not arise. If one is using the method, this knowledge is sure to arise. And this is correct seeing correctly. With sila as a base, as soon as the object arises, one aims, make effort, and firmly looks. So when we do this, the mind becomes clean. And this is Tadanga Santi. So the mind becomes clear, and when it is clear, we see there's just nama rupa, cause effect. To know this is correct. So because the mind becomes clear, one can discern that there is nama and rupa, mind and matter. For example, one observes the rising and one sees stiffness or tension, and that is one thing. The knowing of it is another. One sees in this way. In the falling, when one observes it, one observes the relaxation or displacement and knows that this is one thing. The knowing of it is another. Observing the lifting of the foot, it becomes light and goes up. That is one thing. Knowing it is another. Moving the foot forward, it's as though it's pushed from behind or being pulled from in front. This is physical. One knows that it is one thing and the knowing of it is another. In placing the foot, it becomes heavy and goes down and then touches. And this heaviness is apparent as one thing. Knowing the heaviness is another. In the body, there's heat or tension or heaviness, and if every time one of these things arises, we observe it, then the bhavana mind will become strong, and one will see what is really there. Then, what we saw before the practice, seeing ourself as a self, a soul, this initial misperception will disappear. So when one sees correctly, the mistaken view that one had to begin with is dispelled. So it said seeing nama rupa removes the view of self. So there's before seeing nama and rupa, there's the belief that in addition to the mind and body, there's a self, a soul. But through the practice one sees. There's just a seeing nama rupa, this view of the self. One can see the self is not there. So this is a profit. This is how something the one gains from doing the practice. So with this bit of knowledge, of discernment of nama and rupa, this bit of misperception that there is a self is being quelled, is being stilled. And this is Santi. So discerning nama rupa removes the view of self. And if one continues to practice, the effort to observe the object and the aiming become better. And when our energy, the energy of virya, is full strength, then the mind becomes more clean. So with that bit of clean knowing, this bit of not knowing of cause and effect is calmed. When one continues to practice, one discerns cause and effect, and this removes the view of the Creator. So when we continue to practice this, after discerning nama and rupa, or mind and matter, one understands starts to understand how they are related as cause and effect. One knows that the basic sense organs, eye, ears, nose, tongue, and body, come about due to karma. Karma is the cause for some physicality to arise. And one sees how the mind, which is mental, causes rupa, the physical, to occur. When we see that the intention to sit brings about the process of sitting down, the intention to stand brings about or causes the process of standing up, the intention to bend results in bending, the intention to stretch results in stretching. These are all examples of how the mind causes matter. And one sees how the physical rupa changes due to the external conditions of heat or cold. When the weather is cold, how the rupa, the body, changes. One understands how it changes due to the heat. This is how the external weather affects rupa or matter. And one also comes to perceive how eating nutritious food brings about changes in rupa, in one's body. So the rupa is caused by these four things: kamma, or past actions, consciousness or the mind, the weather, and nutrition, ahara. And one comes to perceive these causes bringing about results during one's practice. So when one knows cause and effect, when one discerns cause and effect, removes the view of a creator. Before this, one would think that all these things come about because a creator is making them. But one doesn't know before one sees in the practice, one doesn't know about cause and effect. So one misperceives. And through knowing cause and effect, one sees correctly. So before, we tend to think that there is a creator doing all these things, but in fact, there's just mind and matter, nama and rupa, which each have their own cause and bring about their own results. Seeing the true Dhamma, seeing how things really are through the practice, one knows that if one doesn't know the method of practice, Or if one doesn't use it, one knows the method but doesn't use it or doesn't apply it correctly, then one will not know about cause and effect. And instead, one will think wrongly that things happen without a cause. This is the view called ahetuka deiti, the view that there is no cause. Things happen without a cause. And people also tend to believe in, it's called fictitious cause. They think that something other than the true cause is really the cause. Visamahetuka deiti. That means something irrelevant. They take something irrelevant to be the cause. So when one discerns cause and effect, one removes doubt about how things arise, because one sees very clearly the cause and its result. So this is very valuable. And the person who gains this vision, discerning cause and effect and removing doubt about how things arise, breathes easily, and they start to gain a foothold. And from this point, they won't go to a lower life. So it said in the text that this person who sees how things are related as cause and effect is called chula sotapanna. They're like a minor sotapanna. This knowledge will only come after discerning nama and rupa, mind and matter. Only after seeing that there are two things, mind and matter, will one start to see how they are related as cause and effect. So after discerning nama and rupa, one must continue to practice. And continuing to practice, one gains this knowledge. Seeing the cause and effect relationships between mind and matter, one is a minor sotapanna. And this is nothing small. This is good. When one doesn't know that nama and rupa, mind and matter, are related as cause and effect, then one tends to think that there is no cause. This is ahetuka deiti, the wrong view of causelessness. And if one does not search for the true cause for things to arise, then one will think that a creator makes things. And this is called visamahetuka deiti. This is or fictitious cause view. And if one believes that there is a creator, then one has to live the way the creator wants, or risk being punished. And therefore one can't breathe easily. One is always worried. But now, due to the practice, one sees how things are related as cause and effect. The relevant cause leads to the relevant effect, not otherwise. And one sees that results always come due to causes. So the view that a creator is making things happen is dispelled. And thus one is no longer afraid of the creator, this creator, and one feels courageous. If one continues to practice so that virya, sati, and samadhi become good and strong, and so that aim becomes more accurate, then we see that as soon as there's something seen, it disappears. As soon as something is heard, it disappears. As soon as there's a smell, it disappears. Everything that one experiences is impermanent. And seeing this, one becomes free of the view that it is permanent. What is born is always dying. One sees this too. and therefore it is not good. So this permanent self is no longer there. There's no longer any idea that there's a permanent self or a happy self. When one sees that things are impermanent, this eliminates pride, mana. And when one sees that things are suffering, this eliminates the view that they are happy and peaceful. So seeing this, our vision becomes even more clean. So when one knows that what one experiences is impermanent, this dispels the view that things are permanent. And knowing that things are not satisfactory, that they are dukkha, dispels the view that they are good and pleasant. So in this way, our view becomes, our wrong view becomes eliminated. So with this knowledge, with these types of knowledge, which are virtuous and good, that ignorance of permanence, of impermanence, or of suffering, and so on, ignorance and other things that are detrimental are being calmed, are being quelled or stilled. And this is Tadanga Santi. When one continues to practice, and one's effort, sati, samadhi, and aiming all become better, and one's vision becomes more clean, and therefore one comes to see that the old is always being replaced by something new. That as soon as something passes away, it's immediately followed by a new thing. So one comes to see that it's always a matter of the old continually being replaced by the new. So one sees this very clearly. Seeing every new arising thing, one dispels the view that when we die, that's it, there's nothing else. Because one sees that what passes away is always being replaced by something new. So seeing all these new things removes the view of Ocheda Deiti, or the view that there's nothing after death. And seeing at this time, seeing things arise and then pass away, one sees that nothing stays the way it is. It arises and it doesn't stay that way, it immediately disappears. And seeing this, one sees there's nothing that is permanent. So the view of permanence, or sasata deiti, is also removed. One sees new things arising every moment. Again and again one sees newly arising objects very clearly. So one sees that there's no final end to anything. There's always something, after something ends, there's always something new arising. So by seeing this ever new arising object, the detrimental view, this view that there is nothing after death, that there's a final end. When we die, this view, which is part of something detrimental, is being calmed, is being stilled, and this is Tadanga Santi. By seeing how nama and rupa, or mind and matter, which are related as cause and effect, are always coming to an end again and again. This seeing, this clear seeing, which is a part of things good, eliminates or quells this bit of detrimental things, the view of permanence, and this is called Tadanga Santi. So basically this means that one has become free of these views of both Ocheta Deity and Sasata Deity, the view that there is nothing after death and the view that there is that things are permanent. At this time, the last of the 5 factors of one who is striving for liberation has reached fulfillment. The Buddha said, Paññava hoti. One has vision or pañña. That is, one sees clearly how mind and matter, which are related as cause and effect, now arise and now they pass away. One sees their continual arising and passing away clearly. And the Buddha went on to say, Uddiyata gaminiya, Uddiyata gaminiya, which means that the knowledge which sees clearly how mind and matter arise and pass away all the time is complete, is full. This pañña or wisdom is described as Uddiyata gaminiya. That means that it is capable of seeing clearly how nama and rupa, mind and matter, which are related as cause and effect, arise and pass away in an extremely quick manner. And when one sees clearly in this way, how can kilesas possibly arise regarding the object? One sees them arise and then pass away. One sees them arise, so the view that there is the view that there is nothing after life is eliminated, and one sees them pass away, so this mistaken view of permanence is eliminated. And so this knowledge, pañña, is also described, the Buddha also described it as aryaya. That means that it is pure. It's extremely clean. Before one practiced, one didn't know in this way. And during the early part of the practice too, one didn't see in this way how things arise and pass away in a fleeting, very fast manner. But when one's practice has momentum, one comes to see the fast arising and passing away of phenomena, and one's physical, verbal, and mental behavior become even more clean. And at that time, the mass of lobha, of greed, the mass of dosa, of anger, the mass of moha. Before we reach this stage, the greed, when it arises, is like a huge mass, a huge lump. And dosa, anger, when it arises, it's massive. And moha too. So initially, we can't break these up. But now, at this stage in the practice, they fall apart. So the gross, at this stage in the practice, the gross views of ahetuka deity, that there is no cause, and visamahetuka deity, that things are caused by something that is not really the cause. These wrong views, gross wrong views, do not arise. And the knowledge at this stage has the power to break up the mass of lobha and dosa, of greed and anger. So another quality that this knowledge has, that the Buddha said, is dukkakya gaminiya. Dukkakya gamini means, dukkha means suffering. And this knowledge with this seeing of the fast arising and passing away, the ignorance of how things arise and pass away quickly is momentarily dispelled, is calmed. So at this point the kilesas are drying up. And because the kilesas are drying up, this means that due to them, akusala, unwholesomeness, is not occurring. And also, wholesomeness that leads to future life is not occurring. So in this way, there will not be any results, because the causes are no longer the causes are no longer coming into existence. The results also will not arise. So therefore, the suffering of kilesas, the suffering of their results, the suffering of sankhara, that is action with intention, all these things are coming to an end. And therefore this knowledge, this type of wisdom, is called dukkhakkhiagami. The knowledge of seeing the fleeting, very fast arising and passing away of phenomena, this Tadanga Santi. At this stage the mind is very clean, and therefore one's body also becomes very pure. And the blood, especially the blood circulating throughout one's body, is quite healthy and clean. And therefore light is generated. Light comes out of one's body. Light is emitted. And sometimes it can light up, the light coming out from a yogi's body can light up the room or light up a whole monastery. And there's a joy, tranquility, and sati is very well established on the object, on every single arising object. And effort is also good. One's faith becomes decisive at this point. One is sure, one knows this is the right way. So one's faith is quite strong, and the knowledge that one gains at this time is very special too, because one sees how things arise and pass so quickly, and one sees even very small objects that one didn't see before. So at this point one thinks one has gained special Dhamma. However, and at this time thinking that, one can become attached to this experience. However, at this stage one has not yet realized special Dhamma. And because of that, one needs to keep on practicing at this stage. One needs to keep on observing. So keep on at this stage, and for sure in this life one will realize special Dhamma. So Tadanga Santi is developed as we continue practicing, developed stage by stage, and when it becomes mature, one will reach Accanta Santi, or the ultimate peace. Just as when we work out a math problem, we keep on working out the equation step by step until we come to the solution, so too we have to continue the practice step by step until Accanta Santi, the ultimate peace, appears. And at that time, I didn't catch what I wrote down. At that time, although one does not see the Buddha in person, one sees the Dhamma. And seeing the Dhamma, one understands who it was who revealed the Dhamma. So one's belief, and one also understands that, like oneself, there are others who have followed this method and who have reached the goal. So one understands and has faith then in both the Buddha who revealed the Dhamma, and in the Sangha who have practiced it to completion. And this faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha will never be destroyed. The three forms of Santi that Sayadaw has been speaking about are directly mentioned in the Buddha's text. Samuti Santi, or conventional peace, is in essence the 62 forms of wrong view, and these must be dispelled. Tadanga Santi, or momentary peace, is the Santi, or peace, that we must work to create. We apply ardent effort and accurate aim every second of the time. We have to create this Tadanga Santi, momentary peace, every second of the time. And this eliminates mental defilements or dirt. Doing this work of Tadanga Santi, when that work is complete, Accanta Santi, or ultimate peace, will automatically appear. So there's no need, this is not something we need to work at. What we have to work at is Tadanga Santi. When Accanta Santi, ultimate peace, appears, then one has dispelled what should be dispelled. One is free of what needs to become free of. And one has reached the solution to the problem that one has been working on. So this is, so when this last factor of the 5 limbs of striving, the 5 factors of a person striving for liberation, the knowledge of fast arising and passing away, when this last factor is present, then if one continues to practice in this very life, one will surely reach the goal of Accanta Santi. And then it will be beneficial. One will gain the benefit of having been born a human and having met with the teaching of the Buddha. One will make this worthwhile. So Sayadaw says, he urges all the yogis to avoid Samuti Santi, conventional peace, as much as possible, to dispel it, and work to accomplish and complete Tadanga Santi, momentary peace, and reach the ultimate peace of Accanta Santi. So tomorrow Sayadaw will say some words of goodbye. Tomorrow. That's all for today. Words of goodbye. Tomorrow. That's all for today. Words of goodbye. Tomorrow. That's all for today.